It says you're live.
I don't know, it says it's live. They might have to navigate to your channel.
There's
15 something.
Let me just try.
Too many fires everywhere. Didn't affect your land though?
What's that?
Dan, we could text the link to him if he needs it.
I think you created a new one.
Did it? Okay.
There he is. I think we'll just have to go with it.
Well, I mean, I can understand that. I
think it's just on my account.
kind of on the weird category, but not like that.
And we started basically doing the new one.
Do you want me to stop this one, Dan?
All right, and I think that's it. Yeah? Okay. Let's see.
Is there an
Oh,
option
I
to
see
just
my.
record
Okay.
it and then
Well,
they can
we got
post
it. It's being recorded, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Thanks, Dan. We'll see you. Actually, wait, did you go to my account? And I just want you to check the volume. Make sure they can hear me.
Yeah, it says he joined. It says he's live.
Okay, I just sent you an email with the link. Click that link and tell me if that works for you. Is it working?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah? Oh, good, good. How's the volume? Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Are you talking to us or your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. My volume is all the way up. If you can turn the volume up on
Okay.
your end, it'll be better.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks. See ya.
I can hear you okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, see ya. Okay, well, we have a few technical difficulties, and we mostly resolved them, kind of, so. The link that basically was emailed and sent out to everybody doesn't work. We have a new link that we can send to everybody. So. Hey, guys, come on in. How's it going? Let's go ahead and get started then. with-
So will everybody know what the new link is, Dan?
They don't know yet. They could go to my channel and then find it. I don't have a way to send it right now. So I'll have to send it after.
I'm just gonna open with prayer. Our Father in heaven, we come before you this evening, grateful to gather as members of the Mark Park Board. We're grateful for leaders who encourage us to be prepared. And, we know if we're prepared, we don't have any need to fear. We're grateful for Dan and his expertise, especially in this communication area, and him sharing this information with us. May we glean from it and learn from it and be proactive and do something with it. We're grateful for the gospel, for my son, and for this beautiful area that we live in and all the good people around us. And pray for thy spirit this evening. And we love thee and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. So if you're wondering why I didn't dress up, this is my get ready shirt. See? Yeah, just look at all the things on the back there and you'll know what you need in order to be ready. What's that?
How many guns did you have on the
There's quite a few there, so don't miss those. And I printed that agenda so you would know what to expect in terms of this presentation, but also mainly to help me to keep myself on schedule. Except that we started late due to technical difficulties, so whatever it says on the agenda, push back 10 minutes. Thought I would start with a couple dad jokes, because I'm good at those. So the question is, how do you greet a ham radio operator, by the way?
With a handshake.
That's a good one. But no, just with a shortwave,
Oh.
that's all. And how does a ham radio operator send a breakup message? Remorse code. Yeah, so.
Morse code.
On a more serious note, President Nelson in the October General Conference, so almost a year ago, he said the following. Actually the subtitle of his talk said, "Now isn't the time for you and for me to prepare for the second coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." It's interesting because sometimes we've heard of people introducing the gospel to people who are not members of our faith. And we say, we have a living prophet. What does he say? Oh, he said that the second coming is imminent and we should prepare. Well, what are you doing about it? Well, nothing, just pretty much going about life the same. And it's like, wait, what? You didn't do anything about it? So this is what else he said. In a world filled with dizzying distractions, how can we do this? How can we take time to prepare? You guys took time out of your evening to come here to listen to this, to hopefully take some steps to be prepared. He says here, brothers and sisters, the Lord will comfort you too. He will strengthen you. He will bless you with peace, even amidst chaos. He will forgive you as you repent, and he will bless you with what you need. So, whatever is said today, hopefully you'll know and have that faith that if there's some step you need to take, if you feel inspired by anything that's said today, it's going to be the Spirit, hopefully, that will inspire you, that will motivate you to take action. If something you hear is meaningful and important to you, then that's how one of the ways that he'll bless you. He'll help you, and he'll make it possible for you to do whatever is needful for your family. He wants you to be happy and to be ready for his coming. So, as I present today, there is a question and answer part at the end. But if you do feel inspired to ask a question, speak up, then by all means do so. If you've ever listened to me teach a lesson or present, you know that I like the feedback and the interaction, so feel free to do it. So here's a question. I'm going to ask you, Pat. If Lon said to you, let's go get ready for this trip. Right now, let's go. What would you say?
Well, what kind of trip?
Yeah. Well, and he said, look, just go, we gotta go. Let's go get ready.
I'd grab my wallet, my identification, my cell phone.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know what to pack,
No.
right? Without knowing like how long you're gonna be gone for, because that would
Yeah.
kind of, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're going to a warm climate or a cold climate, you wouldn't know, if you were going on an airplane, you would have a limited amount of space. If you're going in a car, you'd have more space to throw stuff in, right? So without some information, it's hard to prepare, right? So we can talk about gadgets and gizmos and devices that help with communication right now. But without knowing what we're preparing for or what a possible scenario is where we would need different communication devices other than like our cell phone, it's useless to talk about that. So before we get into some of this equipment and whatever else, I think it's important to talk about what we're preparing for and why. What's the purpose, right? So let's start there. And the concern I think that a lot of people have is what we call the normalcy bias. What is that? Who could raise their hand and tell me what the normalcy bias is? Do you know what that is? Have you ever heard of that term before?
It's where you just feel like everything's gonna stay normal.
Yeah.
It's where you just feel like you're in this pocket of everything's normal and nothing's gonna happen tomorrow. We're still gonna have our cell phones tomorrow. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, for the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I mean, as long as I can remember, right? We've been able to just pick up the phone and make a phone call. And now we got cell phones, we can call, we can text, we can reach anything, anybody. Why do we need to worry about alternative ways to communicate, right? That's what we call the normalcy bias. Everybody feels that way, for the most part, until like a disaster hits, right? And so what could cause a communication disruption? What do you think? What kind of disaster or emergency could happen? An EMP. Right? Does everybody know what an EMP is? Or is it, let me put it this way, is there anybody here who doesn't know what an EMP is by raise of hands?
Well, they're not gonna
Okay.
raise their hand if they don't.
No, we got one. And there's some people out in this. Is it, am I still in frame here?
You are?
Yeah, okay, okay. There are some people back home who don't know either. So we'll go into that. That's a great one. That's my favorite one of all these. So, but what else could happen?
Any emergency is gonna take your cell phone down,
Why?
because everybody's on the phone. If you've ever been in a hurricane, which I unfortunately have, or anything like that, you can't get through. to
Go ahead and
anyone.
rotate that. You got one shot, Dave.
Dropping the ball here.
The cell phone's the first thing to go off.
Yeah, right. Because you could use that.
Can you repeat that question? Now that we're live?
Yeah, I mean, cell phones go out immediately, just because they can only handle so much. And, you know, like 9/11 was a perfect example. We didn't have near the system. The bandwidth was too small, and even, you know, today, currently, every time you have a hurricane or any natural disaster, everybody's on their phone trying to check on things and you can't get through.
Yeah, exactly. Bandwidth,
You
right?
ever been in a football stadium or
Yeah.
anything like that, right?
It's a
Like,
great example.
everybody's there,
Yes.
and they're all trying to.
In some cases, I've had trouble even texting a photo from a BYU football game, for example, because.
Too many people in one place.
Exactly. So there's just a limited amount of bandwidth, right? Ordinarily, we can make a phone call anytime we want, but if everybody in Utah County tries to make a phone call at the same time, it's not gonna go through, right? Okay, so, what else? Anything else? You can think? Earthquake, yes. Exactly, very good. What else?
Power
Fires.
plants, terrorist attack on power plants.
Yes, very good. Well, you're checking off all my things here, exactly. Okay, let's talk about each of these in a little bit more detail. There are some things, fortunately, because of where we live here in Utah, we don't have to worry too much about, like hurricanes, right, or tsunami. I don't think we're gonna have a tsunami anytime soon, right? Probably not a flood here in Alpine. Probably not tornadoes back in the, back east, there's a tornado threat, but not here so much, right? But we do have a fire threat. There was a fire earlier this year. Where was that at? The big one.
Monroe,
Where?
down in the beach
There
area.
were several big ones.
California.
In California, right? The,
Laguna Beach?
what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Palisades, right? How many homes were destroyed? What's that? As many as it took to clear the beachfront for the developers, right? Just joking. But over 16,000 homes were destroyed. That's not a small number. Those people, I guarantee you, woke up that morning and didn't expect to have their homes burned down probably in the next few days, right? They weren't thinking probably about ways to communicate in an emergency. But as we saw in the video that I showed earlier this year in the second hour, the combined adult session, the cell phone towers, when that town burned down, the cell phone towers either burned also, or they lost power. The cell phone towers can run on backup generators, but only for a short amount of time until they run out of fuel. And in that case, they went down, and when they went down, no one could make cell phone calls or send text messages, right? We saw that, even the governor himself. And we tend to think a lot of times that the leaders of government, our leaders have thought this thing through. There's departments in the government who are taking steps now to prepare and to, but I wouldn't trust that. They didn't even have enough water in the fire hydrants for the fire in. So we can't really count on that. It's incumbent upon us to take steps. You don't have to stand the whole time. You can sit.
I'm just being prepared.
In case you wander, he wants to.
There is also a fire in Hawaii. Does anybody remember that one? Yeah. Oh, that was unexpected. That was Hawaii's deadliest natural disaster in over a century, right? You know how many homes were destroyed there? By any chance?
So many lives lost too.
Were there?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. 2,200 homes destroyed there, so. Now, you mentioned earthquakes. We don't have like to worry about tornadoes or hurricanes as much, but earthquakes are a real possibility. Did you know that some professors from BYU, they put this device at the top of Y Mountain, and they put another similar device in St. Louis, Missouri. And these devices could communicate with each other and measure distance precisely down to like the smallest measurement. And they found that over time, what do you think the change was between the distance from that point and on the top of Y Mountain and St. Louis, Missouri?
Oh, you're talking about,
The distance, yeah,
Yeah.
from those 2 points.
Over what period of time?
Let's say, I don't remember, because it was a while ago, but let's just say a year.
a mile.
2 inches?
It was like 0.
Oh.
And they put another one of those same devices in Provo. And they measured the distance from the top of White Mountain to like the center of Provo. And over that same period of time, guess how much it moved?
2 inches.
I forget. Because it was a while ago. But it moved a lot. Like, it was so close together, and yet on the one hand, there was no change in distance, and on the other, there was quite a bit of change. And the reason is because on the one hand, it's all one big solid tectonic plate. And on the other hand, there's this fault between Y Mountain and Provo. We live literally, the Wasatch Front is on a fault line. And we're overdue for an earthquake. We're quite a bit overdue for a serious earthquake. In fact, that's one of the reasons why, what are our church leaders doing to prepare for an earthquake? Is there something you could think of? Yeah, the temple, they're reinforcing it. Is it at a small expense or? No. Have you seen? It's a massive undertaking. And I can only imagine what the cost is. It has to be astronomical. But, you know, and they're spending the widow's mite to do that, right? Well, it's because I think they anticipate or expect that there is going to be an earthquake. So we shouldn't take that lightly. If you look at the fault line, it goes pretty much right through the center of Alpine. I think right through Cindy's house. Her garden is going to be on one side, hopefully on our side. Because have you seen her garden? It's amazing.
It's his garden.
Marvin's garden, and her house is going to be on the other side. So yeah, we need to think about that. That's a possibility. Let's see. Well, this is a little louder. Oh, here it is. So here's another one. Someone said the power grid going down. Who said that? Yeah, Marty. So let's talk about that for a second. Can you think of an example when that happened and caught people off guard?
No, but I can think of a couple movies.
Yeah.
In Texas did something?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. What happened in Texas?
Somehow, they got more ice or snow or whatever.
Dave,
Oh,
good.
it was the big.
Very good,
And they
Dave. Very good.
couldn't get enough heat or power or something.
Yeah, they had a cold snap, a freeze that was unusual for their climate there. It was unexpected. And it caused power outages, but massive ones. If you really dig on it and really dig deep, because they're not really forthcoming with it, and I've done that, it's my understanding that it was because they had become so dependent on green energy, the windmills and the solar and stuff, so dependent that when this unusual weather struck and they didn't have that green energy available, the natural gas facilities were overwhelmed. So anyways, in any case, it was a huge outage. How many people lost power during that outage?
Hundreds of thousands. 200,000, 500,000.
4.5 million households.
Okay.
Woo!
For how long?
Um,
Several days.
Several weeks.
let's see, yeah, I don't know. I think it varied depending on some of the locations where people were at, but in some cases it took weeks before they got power. And in fact, what was the real problem wasn't just that they were cold.
Didn't have water, like I had a friend who was in the middle of it. They were melting snow to flush the toilet.
And what caused the damage? Because it says here that, do you know what the losses in terms of damage came to? More comprehensive assessments, factoring in infrastructure, and health effects, estimated damages well above $195 billion. What was the damage caused by, for the most part?
Freezing pipes.
Freezing pipes.
Insurance policies after that.
Well, yeah, but the damage was the pipes froze because there was no heat, and they cracked and broke, and then water just started gushing. So many homes. Okay, so that's pretty significant. I think that's interesting. Did the people in Texas expect a power outage like that? No, they didn't think that was going to happen, right? It was caught them out of the blue, and the damage was significant. And the people who didn't lose power, did you hear about what happened to them?
No, tell us.
Well, people flocked to the few homes that had power, and they welcomed them. I heard about a number of stories. Yeah, come on in, yeah, be warm. What they didn't know is that if you read the fine print on the agreement they have with the power company, the rates went up like 1,000%.
Yeah.
In 2 or 3 days, they racked up where some people had an annual bill of $1,200. In 2 or 3 days, the bill was $2,600.
Yeah.
It broke the budget for a lot of people. It was a huge problem. What was your question?
I was just gonna say, there was one, I was looking it up, trying to remember it, in the Northeast, back about 20 years ago. And it was 50 million people. And it was a software bug in the grid system. And it was some were a day, it was the middle of summer, a hot summer too, and some were a day, and some were a week, and some more.
Wasn't that Die Hard 2?
Yeah, you ruined it.
3, come on, who's number 3?
That was a great, those are all documentaries.
That was perfect.
Way to go, Marty.
There was a more recent event like that. Does anybody remember the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack in May of 2021? Did anyone hear about that? A few nods. So what happened is the Colonial Pipeline, the major pipeline network, supplying nearly 45% of the East Coast's fuel, including gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, was attacked. It was a ransomware attack. And so they proactively shut down all the pipeline operations. The shutdown lasted for several days, causing widespread fuel shortages and panic buying across 17 states and Washington, D.C. Average gas prices surged sharply, with many stations running dry. And if you're curious to know, that Colonial Pipeline paid 75 Bitcoin, which was about $4.4 million at the time, to retrieve the decryption tools from the hackers. And so, I don't know if you heard about that in the news or watched it, but it was a major threat. So we have this potential threat of like a cyber attack, right, or a ransomware attack like that. There was another one here. Let's see here. Have you heard of the 2013 Metcalf sniper attack in California? So this was fascinating. This is not well known. It wasn't really published much in the news, but on April 16th, a team of gunmen, and I heard there were only 3, they opened fire on the Metcalf transmission substation near San Jose, California, damaging 17 high voltage transformers. The damage was estimated over $15 million, and it took utility crews weeks to repair. So let's see. So this was an act of terrorism. Well, actually, the FBI did not classify it as an act of terrorism. So does anybody know the purpose or the reason or the theory about why this happened?
They hated the governor.
No. So the U.S. has 55,000 substations, okay, across the country. But there are a small number that are considered electrically significant. A Federal Energy Regulatory Commission study found that disabling just 9 critical substations could trigger a nationwide blackout lasting up to 18 months.
Is that based on 2013 though?
No, this
Oh,
is
okay.
based on today.
Wow.
If you knew which 9 of these critical substations to attack, if you were a terrorist and you opened fire, you could take them out. It would shut down the power grid across the whole United
Right.
States for 18 months. Why 18 months? You know why they're,
It would take that long to repair, rebuild, and reestablish, probably.
well, yeah, these transformers, they take if you place an order today and they're making them overseas, not here in the US,
Yeah.
right? It takes 18 months. You place the order today, you get it 18 months from now, right? So if you were to just get a few men with AR-15s and open fire, you could take them out and you could shut down and send the United States back into the 1800s in terms of electricity. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think, like I say, I heard that sniper attack, the reason for that was it was a test of some terrorist organization, see if it was possible to do it and take it out and what the response would be and so forth. So I thought that was interesting.
It's interesting because the people would get stuck in the area too.
Yeah,
How
but
are they gonna get out? There's-
if you're a jihadi, you don't care. You're taking down the great
You're
Satan,
gonna
right?
get all those brides.
Exactly, the 22 versions or whatever, right? However many it's up to now. So yeah, so there's a real possibility the power grid goes down. I'm glad you guys mentioned that, and then you know, or a cyber attack like the Louisiana one we talked about. There could be a terror attack, 9/11, for example. And then finally, my favorite, the EMP. So EMP, just how we doing on time? Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up and transition to the next phase in just a second here. But an EMP stands for electromagnetic pulse. And I was curious about kind of the history of this. I was like, is this for real or is this just something like people are blowing out of proportion? Well, as it turns out, it was discovered back in the 50s when they were doing tests with nuclear bombs. They were detonating them, the government was, and doing tests. And at first, what they discovered is when they would detonate one of these, their electronic equipment was getting fried from this electric pulse that was emanating from the bomb. And so once they discovered that, they had to harden their devices to protect them so they could take their measurements and so forth. But out of curiosity, they did let's see here. I don't know if I have it here, but they did a high altitude detonation over the Pacific as part of a test. Let's see, where is that? I'm not sure, but yeah, it was fascinating. And so they wanted to see what the effect of, and especially they wanted to measure the electromagnetic pulse from that high altitude detonation of the Pacific. And guess what they found? Did anybody hear about this? Do you know what the result was? The result was that electric devices 900 miles away in Hawaii got fried. They didn't expect that because it was so far. And what they discovered is that when you detonate a high altitude, a nuclear bomb in a high altitude, that electromagnetic pulse gets amplified as it comes down through the atmosphere. And so what they did is, in fact here, let's see, you can also get an electromagnetic pulse from a CME. Does anybody know what a CME is? It stands for coronal mass ejection. So the sun will, from time to time, have these ejections, and they will create an electromagnetic pulse as well. So let's see here. As few as 1 to 3 nuclear detonations at high altitude could disrupt the U.S. power grid and take it down. One device at the right altitude could impact most of the continental U.S. That's crazy to think about, isn't it? Because we think, well, if they were to shoot it, we could shoot that. You know, the whole first strike, the war games, right? Well, this would just take 1 or 2 or 3. How could, out of curiosity, can you think of any way that a foreign adversary could deploy or detonate one of those? How? I see you shaking your head.
Well, I mean, Russia has hypersonic missiles now.
Hypersonic, which,
So like, and they're, for orbital deployable. Which means-
Orbital deployable,
Yeah, which means you can shoot it from space, so it's like.
right,
It's a matter of minutes, really.
or less. I mean, if you've got a satellite going over the US and one of these devices gets deployed from one of those.
Or if you have a balloon that kind of goes.
Right.
around the United States.
That's crazy.
It would never happen,
Well,
but if
yeah.
it did.
A weather balloon? There's just 3 weather balloons happen to be floating across the US from China. Right? Yeah, that's great. That's a really good point. Do you know also that another way is you could deploy them from a cargo container ship, right? Let's say a cargo container ship comes to port in California, another one on the East Coast, right? You know that there's video footage that the government has of Iran deploying ballistic missiles from cargo containers just off their coast. It's like, wait, why are they deploying them from cargo containers? Well, that's why. So yeah, that's a real possibility. A nationwide EMP event could cause catastrophic infrastructure collapse. Critical sectors at risk are power, water, food, transportation, telecom, finance, emergency services. Just to name a few. That's quite a bit, huh? Recovery could take months to years. The mortality estimates. The EMP Commission warned that if the grid went down for a year, up to 90% of the US population could perish. So this could cause starvation, disease, lack of clean water, and societal breakdown.
It isn't only the grid, too, those that would go down in that, isn't it? Wouldn't all the
All the electronic
Cars.
devices, for the most part.
You know,
Cars would stop going, your cell phone would stop working, your respirator, if you're in the hospital, would quit. The fridge would quit if you're taking,
Doors, the electric doors in a store.
get trapped in the elevators. I mean, there's a book written about this, by the way, a fiction book called 1 Second After. Has anyone read that? It goes into detail about that. Yeah, it's fascinating. So,
It's great.
and there are some examples of this. Has anyone heard of the 1859 Carrington event? Oh, really? Forgot about that?
I think I was asleep.
Okay, so there's the 1962 Starfish Prime Test. There's the 1962 Starfish Prime Test. That's the one where the U.S. nuclear test caused the EMP damage in Hawaii over 900 miles away. And then there's the 1859 one. So I have that information here real quick here. So there was a massive coronal mass ejection from the sun, essentially a solar storm that hit the Earth's magnetic field. And let's see here. Telegraph systems worldwide went haywire. Operators reported telegraph lines sparking and catching fire. Telegraph paper igniting. Shocks given to operators handling the lines. Systems working without batteries, powered solely by the geomagnetic currents induced by the storm. And auroras, northern and southern lights, appeared much farther from the poles than usual. Let's see, it was described as so bright that people could read newspapers outdoors at night. And there were some rumors or accounts of railroad tracks catching fire because of the metal it conducted the electricity. So really interesting. So we have some real world examples of that. Okay, so let's transition now into the next phase.
Now that you've cheered us up, it's time.
What's that?
Now that you've cheered us all up.
Well, the point of it all is that
Yeah, do you know?
there's good reason to prepare. Let's see here. In fact, well, let's ask this question. Do any of the prophecies in the scriptures of the last days suggest that there would be wars or natural disasters? Or, of course, right? I have some here, but for the sake of time, I won't read them. You all know, right? But to me, these prophecies suggest that we should take steps to prepare for some of these events to happen. And is the stake taking steps? Our stake to prepare? What are they doing that comes to mind that you can recollect?
They're telling us to prepare.
Right. But we did a drill a couple months ago. Communication drill. Out of all the things that they could do, they chose communications. Why is that? What's got number one? What do you got for me?
That's me.
Okay. What does the title of that page say?
The title of the page?
Yeah.
Why communication is a top priority in emergency preparedness.
Yeah, why is it? Why do you think, well, let's do food, or let's, if we're gonna starve to death, let's, you know, or well, let's just get water, whatever. So why is communication so important? Read the first one now.
Information is survival. Without accurate information, families and communities don't know what's happening, where it's safe, or what to do next. Many people who survive the immediate disaster are endangered afterward by lack of updates, rumors, or confusion.
Excellent. Who's got number 2? Go ahead.
Communication coordination saves lives. Communication allows families, neighbors, and church members to check in on each other, share resources, and organize help. Even simple updates like we're okay or we need water can make the difference between life and death.
Interesting. Thank you. Who's got number 3?
Emergency services depend on it. First responders need situational awareness, blocked roads, injured people, fires, and hazards. If you can report information when systems are down, you become part of the solution, not just a bystander.
Excellent. Number 4?
I think I handed it out. I think I handed out one of these. Somebody's got number 4.
Here, I'll do
Okay.
it. Reduces panic and fear. In a communication blackout, rumors spread fast. Fear can lead to bad decisions. Reliable communication restores calm, confidence, and order, especially for children and vulnerable family members.
Excellent. Number 5? Go ahead, Jordan.
Enables resource sharing. If neighbors can connect, they can pool resources, food, fuel, tools, and cover each other's needs. Without communication, people may waste or hoard out of uncertainty.
Excellent. That's so important. That's great. Okay, is there a number 5? Or 6? Number 6.
I got 6. Spiritual and emotional support, church context, being able to contact family, ministry brothers and sisters, and leaders helps maintain unity and morale. Knowing you are not alone is just as critical as food or water to sustain children.
Interesting, huh? Just as important as food and water. That's great. So, and that was the last one, right? Number 6?
Yep.
Okay. In any emergency, food, water, and shelter are essential, but communication is what makes all those resources useful. Without it, people are isolated, fearful, and disorganized. With it, families and communities can act together, share resources, reduce panic, and save lives. So, let's transition now to ways to communicate in a crisis. Now that we've set the stage, set the table, right? Are y'all motivated now after hearing all this? Okay, good. So, let's see here. Here are a few ways to communicate in a crisis. One is talk face to face. And that seems kind of silly. But what I mean by that is, one thing I would recommend for you to do with your family and your kids is to designate a place outside your home for a meeting place. If your home catches fire, and everyone races outside of the front yard except for one child who climbs out the window in the back is in the backyard. As a father, thinking that the child is in the burning house, I might race in there to save him and die. When, lo and behold, he's just in the backyard the whole time, right? So you should talk with your, that's the communication number 1 method, right? Talk with your family and designate a place to gather out of the side of the home in case of an emergency. Number 2 is designate a person to call if there is an emergency or a crisis, and let's say there's someone with a satellite phone and you're like, can I use that phone? Who are you gonna call? If your child or your extended family or whoever it is in the crisis or the emergency zone or area, you can't call them. So what you wanna do is identify someone you could call out of state, where you could say, hey, we're fine. Have you heard from my child? Yada, yada. And then the kid will know this as well and they can call as well. So designating a person to call is good. Also, there's this old-fashioned method called paper and pencil. I actually have this like waterproof paper one. That's kind of cool. And what you want to do with that is designate a place outside your home where you can write a note and put it in like a plastic bag or something. My sister uses the sprinkler box. All her kids in the family know. So if there's an emergency and we go to her house, we're gonna save you. The cavalry has arrived and she's not there. Oh man, so we would go to the training box and she's like, I went to the city town hall or whatever, I went to the church or whatever. We're like, oh, okay, then we'll know. So that is not a bad idea too. Number 4 are runners. Always send, and so in the old days, they would send people, okay, you're the runner, go, we're gonna all stay here, you go run and communicate this message to the bishop, right, or whoever. Yes,
What if we don't have a runner?
then a fast walker
Okay.
will do, yeah.
Maybe I like it.
If you do send runners or fast walkers, always send 2 people. And avoid sending underage kids if possible. Another way to communicate or communication device is a solar powered radio. So in this case, it's simple, I think it was like $15, powered by solar, or you can crank it. Also, it's got a little crank thing. And why is that helpful? Cindy? Why is it? Oh, no.
I'm concentrating on writing down.
Ah,
what you just
okay.
said.
So who could tell me, Holly, why is a solar powered radio helpful?
Well, so you can receive them.
Yes. What information?
Broadcast,
Weather.
national, state, whatever.
Yeah.
Emergency band.
Yeah, right. The people who are broadcasting may say, that was the first wave, there's more attacks coming, and so hunker down. That'd be good to know. So you're not out trying to rescue someone when the next blast comes or whatever, right? I mean, so there's a lot of, the chair is against the wall. Right? John has a, what was that? Red Dawn, do you remember? They were always listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Red Dawn, that's our preparedness guide, right? So the chair is against the wall. So yeah, radio is a good
I
idea.
Am Legend.
Will Smith
Yeah?
on his radio, anybody that can hear?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was always
That's how
on.
he was led to that.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Dan, was that the first Red Dawn or the second one?
The first one I was
First one.
thinking of, yeah.
The OG.
John, what was the other one? John has a long something. Stick. I don't know. Anyway, so okay. Number 6 is cell phones. But what I mean by that is, we talked about the fact that in a crisis, you may not be able to make a phone call from your phone, but you can text in a lot of cases still. So you might not be able to make a call, but text messages don't use as much bandwidth, and you may be able to get a text message through. Also, has anyone noticed on their iPhones that when you're out of coverage area, what does it say in the top right corner? SOS. What is that?
I don't know, the satellite.
Satellite.
Yeah,
That's the newest feature from Apple.
right. Tell me about it, Jordan.
So as part of the redundancy in the grid, they've now deployed satellites above the US for that reason. They're not always there though.
Really?
Yeah, like, they're intermittent,
Uh-huh.
but you can usually get it within a few hours.
Yeah. Has anyone used it? Yes?
We didn't send our son, we tried to talk him out of this, but he went on the Pacific Crest Trail, and there's no cell coverage
Oh,
for
okay.
probably 90% of it.
Mm.
And also, there are wildfires on the trail, and
Mm.
so you have to know what's going on.
Mm.
So we told him every day he had to turn on his iPhone and
Mhm.
send his location.
Oh, okay.
It was at a time when you couldn't also text.
Oh, okay.
Nowadays, he could also send a text and say,
Yeah.
I'm fine. All he could do at the time was send his location. So
Uh-huh.
we knew where he was last known.
Is there an extra charge for that service? No, it's free. I used it, we went with the young men up to the cabin on the Klondike down in Fairview, and we were way out in the boonies. And we had to park our cars and then take snowmobiles up to the cabin. And I was able to send text messages and receive them too, so it's pretty cool. Can you count on that in an emergency?
Well, first of all, you should practice.
Right, practice is a good
Because
thing.
it's weird, it doesn't work like you think. You have to point your phone in different directions.
Mhm.
So just practice it.
You can't sit in your basement, you need to be able to have access to the satellites, right? It's quite remarkable and quite amazing that you can do that now, though. So, but as Jordan mentioned, there are some limitations, and it's designed really for an occasional use by a few people. If, for example, in the LA fires, when there was all those homes and however many tens of thousands of people maybe trying to text using that service. I don't think those satellites have the bandwidth for that many text messages, so I don't think you could count on that in an emergency, but it's good to know.
And it stops working if you cross an international border.
Oh, really?
Even though they have the satellites,
Uh-huh.
you know, the satellites don't stop when
Yeah.
they reach Canada.
Yeah.
But they just don't pay for the bandwidth.
Oh, really? Interesting. I did not know that. Okay, there's another method called walkie-talkies. I have a few of them here. They come in all different varieties, and they've gotten more powerful over the years. They're a handy communication device, and they're simple to use. You know what PTT stands for on the side here?
Push to talk.
That's right. It's a very, very sophisticated jargon. Walkie, I can walkie and talkie. Let's call it a walkie-talkie. And what's this button? Well, you push it to talk. Oh, okay, let's call that the push to talk button. So, super simple, right? The channels and the way that you synchronize with the devices are pretty simple. We use them when we caravan, when we're going across country and multiple cars, especially with the youth. It's super fun. But they're handy in emergency too. Who else uses this in emergency? What about like search and rescue? That's what they use. They're in a relatively localized area typically.
Even just like skiing and something and you get separated from your group or you go down a different run.
Yeah.
We like to have walkie-talkies just to communicate, hey, where you at? You can do one more? Okay, meet you at the lodge.
Yeah, they're cheap. I got these two green ones at Costco. I don't remember how much, but
What's the range typically?
they vary. Sometimes they say things like 35-mile range. That's a bunch of bull crap. Like, I mean, I think if you were on the salt flats
Yeah.
and there was absolutely no obstructions or, you know, nothing, it might go 35 miles. But I mean, ordinarily, sometimes if the vehicle ahead of us just gets 800 feet ahead instead of 600, we're already losing the signal. So I don't know. And I mean, I got some nice ones as far as I could tell, and I've got a variety you could tell, and they are all pretty limited. I don't even know what the range is, but it's not super far, but it does work. And
It needs line of sight.
and it needs line of sight. I mean, it works better if there's line of sight. You can use them in households as long as you're close by. But when you start to get distance, if there's obstructions, trees or mountains or hills or anything, even cars, the car frame blocks the signal. So, yeah, but they're nice to have. It's definitely something I would recommend. Get some walkie-talkies. They're cheap. Here's another one that I thought is interesting. Starlink. Does anybody here have Starlink? Yes, you do.
My son gave it to my husband for Father's Day or something, so I don't think we've used it yet.
I got this from my kids for Father's Day. It was awesome. It was on sale at Best Buy. They normally $500, but it was on sale for like $300. So they all kind of pitched in and got it. And I love it. I got to pay the monthly service, of course. But you can start and stop it anytime you want, which is kind of nice. So if we're not traveling, I'll just pause it. And then when we go on our next trip, I'll reactivate it. So with Starlink, you have internet access. You could even, it's high speed. You can FaceTime. So, you know, if you're trying to communicate with your kid who's in the disaster zone, you know, you're not going to be able to reach him unless he has Starlink also. So
it's a connection device, like you pair your phone with it, or
Yeah.
you said you use it with FaceTime, but it's not, you don't use that device with FaceTime, you use your phone.
Yeah, you use your phone.
You connect your phone
So in
to
this
it.
case, I actually got this case, which we can just set. It's these are really powerful magnets. We set it on the roof of our car.
Okay.
And when we traveled across the country a couple of weeks ago, he had high-speed internet everywhere we went. It was awesome.
Oh, gosh.
We put it on the outside of the travel trailer. And it needs power. You have to have a power source. So it's something to think about in an emergency. You'll need to figure out how you're going to power it. But yeah, basically you just plug it in, and then you go to your phone settings and you go to Wi-Fi, and it's right there. And once you select it once, your phone will automatically connect the next time.
Is it a subscription? You pay for it every
Yeah.
month to use, or does it depend on how much you use?
It does, yeah, they have different service levels. We're
Okay.
paying like $50 a month, and we get 50 gigabytes, and if we exceed that, then it auto bills us $10 more for 10 gigabytes more. And so far, we have exceeded it a couple times, so we paid $60 or $70 one month, 60 the next or whatever. So anyways, but it's super handy, super simple. Like you literally plug it in, and then you instantly
How's it
have.
different from like the little, you know, what do they call them?
Air
Like a hotspot?
Yeah,
Hotspot?
no, I mean, but it's like a little puck, like a puck. You know, you can get them from Verizon or AT&T or whoever, like you can get them they have their own Wi-Fi that you can connect to on trips. I used to travel with one, like, and it's like this size.
Yeah,
It's not
usually-
Oh, yeah, those use cell phone towers.
Yeah.
Okay, those use.
So if you happen to
what's
be
the
out of
difference?
range of a cell phone tower,
So
in the
that
buildings,
uses what?
the satellite.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, and this is similar, you need to make sure it's in a position where it can see the satellites. If there's obstructions, or if you're inside the house or something.
Plus those are 4G or 5G, this is high speed.
Yeah, right, your cell phone service is limited in terms of the bandwidth and the speed.
All the
But-
major airlines are putting those on, so you can get high-speed internet on.
They're a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
As long as you got power, right?
Yeah, as long as you got power, if you can power it, you got
Well, you
power.
said you put it on top of your car, so it doesn't have any solar built in.
No.
Okay,
We,
so it
there's
has
a
to be
cable
powered.
that, we just close the door and it pinches the cable in the door, it doesn't damage anything, and then there's an outlet in that truck we just plug it into, so. Okay, there's also something, let's see here, so Starlink, there's also satellite phones. So I actually own 3 of these here. I,
Are you giving them away?
get to the person who's is most interesting comments. Yeah. So.
Marty's
So-
already won.
What's that?
Marty's already
Oh,
won.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So these are super handy. They're, you see them in the military all the time, right? They're using sat phones because you don't need a cell tower. You could be in the most remote location. You could be
Mission
anywhere in the world,
I mean, Mission Impossible, you know.
right? And so you can be anywhere in the world and it communicate through your satellite, right? So I actually got 3 of these because I had 2 boys out on a mission at the same time. I put one in Carson's suitcase and one in Annan's suitcase, and then I have one. So in the event of an emergency, or an EMP, or if a volcano erupts in Guatemala, where he was at, which seemed like a real possibility, he would send us photos of the smoke every day. Anyways, but any kind of disaster, right? We could reach him. And I felt like, if there's an emergency, this might be helpful for him to say, oh, by the way, mission president, I happen to have this, if you want to call.
That wouldn't be fried by an EMP.
That's a great question. It would be. Anything electronic, any of these things would be fried. So I put it in a Faraday bag.
Put it in Faraday.
Yeah, and I have some samples and some examples, and I want to talk about that in a second. But satellite phones are definitely an option. They're one of the more expensive ones. These devices are around $1,150 right now. I happen to check. You can actually get the device for free with a 2-year commitment to pay the monthly service fee of $100 well, it varies. I paid $100 for 100 minutes, and they accrue. So if I don't use the minutes, I have 200 minutes the next month and 300 and so forth. So we've got a lot of minutes accrued because we haven't used them. They're only for emergency, really. But I do take them when I go motorcycle riding with my buddies out in the. We went to Lake Powell one time and found this baby rattlesnake, and it was so interesting. It was so tiny, and I took a cup. I was a terrible example because my nieces and nephews, everyone was around, clear out everybody, and I put this clear plastic cup over it, and it was like snapping at the thing. It was so interesting. And later I thought about that thought. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, for one thing, it was a terrible example to set to the little kids. And number 2, if I would have mistimed it or whatever, I found out later that baby rattlesnakes are actually more deadly than the adult ones. If we would have got bit at that point in time, out in that remote location, it would have taken us hours to boat back to civilization, to a car, or it would have taken us forever to get to a hospital. I would have died before I got there, or whatever. So anyways, you just never know when you're out in those conditions if you're gonna be an idiot, or if you're gonna have an accident, or there's all kinds of things that could happen, right? And in this case, if I would have had, so I bring that satellite phone sometimes when we go to remote locations, even when we go out of the country. Like I said, whether you're in Guatemala or Mexico, where Annan's at, if we go to the Dominican Republic or anywhere, you can make those calls. It doesn't care what satellite, as long as it's a satellite overhead. There's different services. This uses the Iridium satellite one. There's more of those satellites in the sky. So there are some things to look at. There's a thing called a Bivy stick as well, which is similar to this. It's a lot less expensive, but you can't talk. It's just texting only, but it's texting through the satellites, and they have way more bandwidth, what's that?
It's Spell
I think it's Bivvy, I'm pretty sure.
B.
B as in boy, and then I, and then V as in Victor, V as in Victor, Bivvy, I'm pretty sure. I need to double check that, but. And then finally, there's the ham radios. I saved the best for last. I mean, it's not necessarily the best, but it is an effective way to communicate. It's similar to a walkie-talkie, especially in terms of the way that you use it by pushing to talk. Except that it has a much longer range. They come in different kind of varieties, and some have more range than others. And I got my ham radio operator's license back in like 2005 or 10. We all went as a family to a course at BYU. I did it in one day. We literally didn't crack the book. And we took this course, and then we crammed, and then I took the test. I think I failed it. And I got to take it again, and I passed it. So, anyways, and then I bought this radio, and this is like a 3 or a 4 watt radio, and it cost me like $450. And I could talk, I could do ham radio stuff, and we all got on as kind of as a family for emergency purposes. Nowadays, there's this new kind of a radio called a Baofeng ham radio, and they're super affordable. You can get a 4 watt radio for like $21 or $17.99 or something like that. And it's way better technology. I mean, this is like 20 years old, right? These work even better than those, and they're super affordable. There's different models. There's this one, actually this is the 8 watt one. They look identical, but it costs a little more. The 8 watt one is like $69 or $61. The price kind of fluctuates on Amazon. But they're super affordable and super powerful. And
You still have to have a license?
Is it that?
yeah, so that's a great question. Baofeng, B-A-O-F-E-N-G. One thing to consider, and in fact, I'm gonna spend the rest of the time pretty much talking about these. I have if you shoot a photo of this, I made a ham radio sign-up sheet where we're gonna do a bulk buy. When we did that survey earlier this year, we asked, one of the questions was, would you be interested in doing a bulk, participating in the bulk buy? And a lot of people said yes. My sister's experience, she's the emergency preparedness committee chairperson or whatever for her ward, and she has been for a lot of years. She found that if she gave links out to people, that's easy. We can say, here, I'll email you a link. You can click it and buy it yourself, or you can buy a different one. You can shop around. Like, very few people did it, but when they did a bulk buy and they sent around a sign-up sheet, almost everybody bought the thing that they had. And so we thought we'd do this. For me personally, I don't care if I put on this sign-up sheet the links to what we're recommending to purchase. You can click those links and buy it yourself.
Okay, so.
Or you can put your name down and sign up for it.
So what do you need, a 4 watt and a 10 watt?
Well, no, those are options.
Oh, those
'cause
are the
they're-
options.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
choose. And I'll talk more details about that, but they're at different price points. And so that's why you may want the less expensive one if you're buying it for your kid or something like that, right? So, but anyways, well, what we're gonna do, depending on how many people sign up, Dave already contacted the manufacturer and said, can we get a discount if we bulk buy these? And they said yes. So we're gonna kind of negotiate that part and try to get an even lower price than what you're seeing already, which is already pretty low. I think on that webpage it says, gosh, I can't remember. $17.68.
Yeah. Well, 17 for the 4 and 68 for the.
Yeah, for the 4 watt.
10.
The 10 watt, yeah, is like 61. So what we've done as a family is, well, let me answer the one question that you asked, which is, yeah, there's this rumor that the government's gonna ban those from being sold on Amazon and online because they're so easy to get and so affordable. People are buying them and they don't realize that you actually need a ham radio operator's license to use them, right? So there's a rumor that they're gonna they're not gonna be available anymore at some point soon, so it's something to think about. But there are frequencies, I'm gonna pass this around, I have more of these, I couldn't find them. But we put together, we programmed in all the different frequencies for the repeater towers at the top of the mountains around here. We programmed in the weather channels and family channels, which are frequencies that anybody can use. There's no license required to transmit on low power. So, and you can also, they're legal to use and to just listen and not broadcast if you don't have your license. Also, they say that in an event of emergency, it's okay to use, or if you're testing, if you're doing some sort of radio test, or if it's an emergency situation, it's okay to broadcast on the frequencies that require a license. Yes.
There's a license you can get too that's low power license, right?
There is, yeah, they got like different levels of license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier and
Yeah.
it's simpler if you're just gonna use it in the local area.
Yeah, and one way to get your license, like I said, I did it in one morning. And I mean, I crammed and I forgot everything that I learned that day, but I know enough to know how to use them. But one of the techniques to get your license easily, I've heard, and Holly could tell, she just did this recently, but there's these practice tests online. You just take the practice test, and when you get one wrong, it tells you why you got it wrong. And so you just continue to take the practice test till you're scoring pretty decently, and then you take the actual test. And you can take, I think you have to pay a fee, but you can take the test multiple times. And so it's actually not that hard to get your license, I don't think. Holly and Mark, I think, studied for weeks on end.
I kind of did, I sat in the
right?
pool with my.
Does it go across country?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in our case, for our purposes, we didn't want to rely on the repeater towers that are on the top of the mountains, which are the things that allow you to basically communicate all over the world, right? We wanted to assume that those towers were down, right? And so in that case, you have to have pretty much line of sight. But we do these tests with the family, and we get 25 or 30 people on at once and do what they call a net. And we'll schedule it, and everyone will join. And we can communicate all across the valley.
So not to other states though?
Well, unless you have line of sight. So if it's really flat. If you're at one end of Wyoming.
I can't go to Albany, New York, is what you're telling me.
Well, if you're at one end of Wyoming and you go to Nebraska where there's like absolutely nothing in between, you can probably. But I can communicate with my family in Payson with clear as a bell from Alpine here, which is quite amazing. I think it's like 35 miles.
How am I gonna go to Albany?
Are you gonna have a sign-up sheet during our November meeting when we meet as a stake or something like this? And if so, we could end up with hundreds.
Yeah, we could, yeah, because if you think about it,
I mean,
here's
that's
what,
a simple way to communicate for that price. It's probably the best. Your buck.
yeah, that's right,
Are
yeah.
we gonna do it sooner than November?
Yeah, I know, that's the thing, because that's the spaceship's coming. You've seen that? Did you see the window and they zoomed in and there's a guy looking out the window? Anyways, yeah, no, that's coming in October, I think, right? So we can't wait till November. No, I don't know. They're not that expensive. We can see how many people sign up, and we can decide as a committee. We may want to wait and do the bulk buy in November once we invite the stake to participate and so forth. So, anyways, but what we did as a family is we got one of these radios for each of our cars, and we put them in a Faraday bag. Like I said, the Faraday bag protects them from an EMP or a solar flare. So we put them in a Faraday bag like this and drop them in there. And I included the power cable, and it doesn't come with a USB charger. And I just felt like it would be important. It would stink if it was an emergency and you got it out. You know, yeah, crap, the battery's dead. And you can't plug it in because you're in your car in a remote location, right? And the grid went down, so if you have any kind of battery pack, you can plug it in. So I got one of these for everybody. So I got three things. I got the radio, the Faraday bag, and this power, the USB power cable. And I have each of those on that sign-up sheet if you're interested. But what we did is we put one of these in each car. And that way, if you happen to be home and there's an emergency or a disaster or a terror attack or a cyber attack or an EMP or something, You just go to your car in the garage or in the driveway, right? Pull it out. I actually put Kathy's, if you lift the thing where the spare tire is, I put it there where the spare tire is, because that way it didn't get in the way of her doing groceries and all her shopping at Ross Dress Furnishings. But it's there if she needs it in an emergency, right? And so we did that with each of the kids. In some cases, you've got young kids at home, obviously, that might not be an issue, but even with your husband, you may want to be able to reach him. Or I might want to reach Kathy if she's on the freeway, when that EMP hits and her car dies, I'm gonna want to know where she's at so I can go get her. Yeah.
Dan, can I offer something too? So Rachel and I own a small emergency preparedness company.
Yeah.
We can also offer the group discounts on radios, gurney bags, anything you need as well. So if you need another option.
That's even better. I don't really want to get into the business of trying to manage all that. My sister's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because what we were talking about too was programming. We programmed it. In addition, like I said, you can program all these frequencies, which makes it so much easier to use. You don't have to punch in the numbers of the frequency. Instead, you can literally select the name, because there's these labels, right? So we have, like I say, the family channels, the public channels that anyone can use without no license required. There's weather channels, there's the Utah County repeaters, and then we have these family channels. And so that way our family can just go, oh, Oaks 1, or we can say, switch to Oaks 2 if we need to. If there's traffic on Oaks 1, we switch to Oaks 2, right? Or Oaks 3, or Oaks 4, or Oaks 5. And when you communicate that, instead of going, oh, 106, and it's an emergency and a crisis, and you're trying to remember what frequency to put in. Yeah, so to do that, literally do it once on the computer, and you plug in a new radio, and it downloads in about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, and boom, you're good to go. So Ed Wright, for example, was at the state preparedness event that they did last year, and he was talking to Charlie Nadler at the emergency communication booth, and he was asking all sorts of questions, and I was there, and I kind of shared some of this with him, and he was intrigued. He was like, I want to come to your house. And he came to my house, and I shared some of this information that I'm sharing with you, and he went and bought a couple of these radios, like actually 4 or 5 of them. And then he came back to my house and brought them to me, and one Sunday afternoon, I plugged each one of them into the computer. I created a new label for his family and a frequency, and then I just was like, boom, 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 we got him going in like 5 minutes, and now his radio is much more functional, and so we can do that also it'll be a little tedious for everybody, especially if we get a lot of radios. But like you said, Lon, one family, in our case, we got like 5 or 6 radios. We have so many cars and so many kids, and we wanted to be able to reach them in an emergency, and for whatever it cost, a couple $100. That's the other thing about preparedness, is you have this peace of mind. That's the beautiful thing about it. You hear the stuff in the news, and you're like, oh gosh, but you just go, we're ready, we're prepared. So bring your worst, and we've done all we could, right? So hopefully, if the Spirit prompts you to take action, and even if you do it and it just gives you peace of mind. It's a pretty inexpensive way to get peace of mind, I think, in my opinion. Now there are other ham radio options. This one, we did one of these family nets, and we first check in, like, okay, Ken, are you there? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Ken responds. Because it does take a little practice, like with anything, because otherwise you can talk over each other, especially if you have 25 or 30 people talking or participating at once, right? So we do a check-in. That's how you do a net. Once you can reach everybody and you've all checked in, then I would have this scenario prepared in advance, and I would send a text message to everybody. I had the group already prepared in advance, so then I would just copy and paste, boom, send the scenario, and it was like, Russia attacked, right? And blah, 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 and this is what happened. And it would kind of set the stage. And so everyone would get it. And then, once they read it, then I would have these individual scenarios that I would text to one person here and one person there and another person here. And one of them would say, I just heard a gunshot outside my house, right? And another one would say, we've got water that's flooding our house. And another one would say, there's a fire nearby, or my house is on fire, or whatever. So we had these different things, and we would have to kind of prioritize. If someone was like, hey guys, this is really serious, I heard a gunshot, right? We might want to we might wanna wait for that person to talk while we talk about the person whose house is on fire, right? That's more urgent. And in some cases, we would, as a group, kind of say, okay, let's see, Danny, you're close to Jeffrey's house. Take Cecilia and everybody go to Jeffrey's house. Right, okay, boom. And so we would deal with these scenarios. So while we're doing this guy that we don't know was kind of listening in, because, you know, there are people who monitor the conversations that are taking place. And all of a sudden this guy was like, someone just broke into my house. I'm like thinking, who is that? And that's not one of the things I texted, you know? Someone else was like, and this happened. And they were logging it. These guys were getting into it, you know? And it was really pretty fun. So we've had a great time with this. It's been educational. Although some people we couldn't reach very well. My sister climbed out on her roof in her like nightgown because she could get a better signal. I could go on about stories, but it was hilarious. I ended up finding there's better places in Alpine than others for us. I found the 4 watts didn't work as good as the 10 watt radios for communicating and doing this test. So we learned a lot. It was a good experience. But I got this is a 25 watt radio. Oh, it was that guy who participated in our conversation. He knew way more about ham radios than we did. And so we connected with him after the net, and we got his cell phone number, we talked to him, and we were like, bro, we're missing some pieces here. And he filled in a lot of them. He was like, get this radio as a base station, and get this antenna. And so I've got this like 12-foot long antenna in my attic in my house, which works really well. And I also got an antenna in my car that connects to this. And then the antenna goes outside the car. So before that I had to get outside of my car because the car acts like a shield and blocks the signal. And in some cases I was freezing. I was like, you know, because it was cold and it was evening. Anyways, but this way I can just sit in my car. And this actually has a 50 watt mode. It goes up to a 50. It's got a burst mode or something. So it's really powerful. Aaron Fraser and I got these, and the Frasers have been synchronizing with us too with these. So anyway, we've been collaborating with them. But yeah, so there's different options, and there's different kinds of antennas. I've got a whole box here of different antennas. There's one like it's a rope you throw over a tree, or you tie a rope to it and you throw the rope over the tree, and then you pull the rope and it extends the antenna. And it connects to this radio right here. Surprisingly, the signal sucked. I thought it was going to be so awesome because it was so long. But there's a lot of the principles I don't understand. Steve knows more about it. Steve, will you tell us a little bit about your experience? He has what's the next level up from the beginner one? It's the engineers, is that right?
Just the general license.
Come up here and talk to us.
And talk louder.
Yeah, there's
So we can hear you, because the closer you are to this,
there's what they call the general license, and that allows you to communicate across the country.
Here, come stand back there. Just so for the camera.
To the other.
So like, that means
Steve is the pro. I'm the
that
beginner.
means he gets royalties.
Yes.
It's on the recording.
We'll give you a cut of all the revenue generated from this.
So, I don't know if it's really helpful, honestly. If you have one person in the ward or one person in the state that can communicate nationally, that'd be great. Or a few people, but I think individually, probably not necessarily to have the general license, but it sure is fun to talk to people across the country, so.
So do you do it through repeaters, or?
No, yeah, it's direct communication, talking
Really?
to people
Yeah?
out in Hawaii, for example.
Yeah?
It's hard to get East Coast, because we got these mountains, but west direction is pretty good, so.
You can even talk to people like in Japan. Is that true?
Yeah, it also depends on what the sun is doing, and so right now it's actually very poor for the past 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow,
so,
really?
So everyone's hoping for the sun cycles to change, so we can talk a lot further.
And doesn't it bounce off the atmosphere or something, the signal, when it goes around the Earth, or the clouds or something? Yeah.
Doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
But anyway, I don't want to take too much time, so.
No, your 30 seconds was not too much time.
Look you out, buddy.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I'm pretty much done here. Well, actually, yeah. I talked too long and too much, but, so, let's go to.
These bags.
What's
Talk
that?
about these bags.
Okay, so these are Faraday bags, and they're named that because I guess the guy who discovered it his name's Faraday.
Mr.
So,
Faraday.
yeah, Mr. Faraday. So Faraday bag basically protects electronics from any EMP or any kind of electrical surge like that. A microwave works the same way. If you don't have a Faraday bag, you can take your electronics and put them in the microwave because they block the microwaves, right? Well, they also,
If you know that
Yeah,
it's
if you know it's
coming.
coming.
right, yeah,
Or
exactly.
you can keep it in an old microwave, just cut the cord.
You
so
could.
somebody-
I got a big metal garbage can, by the way, for all my electronics, and I had to put in like a plastic bag as a liner, because if the electronics are touching the metal, it's not gonna work, right? So I put in a liner, I put loads of electronics in there, I put like an iPod with music, in an emergency, that's gonna be worth its weight in gold, right? And an iPad with loads of movies downloaded to it, and a Kindle Fire with lots of movies, and all kinds of electronics. I put them in there, and the garbage can will protect from an EMP. Also, at first, before we got all these Faraday
A
bags,
metal garbage can.
yeah, metal garbage can, not a plastic one, yes. Before we got all the Faraday bags, we put these radios into like a Ziploc bag and wrapped them in tinfoil. Everybody had like these tinfoil things in their car. And then when we do these tests, everyone would open them. And then we would do it, or when we needed to charge them, we would open them. After a while, the tinfoil got ratty, you know. And so we ordered these. In fact, I did like a bulk order for the family. Yeah, and I ordered like 30 of these. Well, actually, no, these are the Faraday bags. I still have a few left over, but I ordered a bunch of those. These are all the power cords for everybody so they can plug them into their car or a battery charger or something, you know. But anyways, so
So these radios don't take like a regular battery, like a
no.
AA or?
I mean, I think you can get, does anybody know, I think you can get, this is the battery pack right here, and they make bigger ones for extended battery life, and I think they might even make ones where you can put like AAA batteries in or whatever, you know. I haven't looked into that much, but.
And there are also newer models that take a USB charging cable like a cell phone, so.
Yeah, that's what I bought separately, this USB charger. When we kind of negotiate the bulk buy, I might see if we can get them with those, because it's just stupid to not have them. I think they should ship that with it by default. I got this battery, or this charger, so you can plug it into the car too also.
You need to do some compare pricing.
Yeah,
I'm happy to give you guys a discount. We sell Baofeng, we sell.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we sell several different kinds.
Oh, good.
And I'm regularly actually working with different suppliers to get their prices in, so I'm happy to give us a discount on Faraday bags, radios, flashlights, food. I mean, we have 4,000 products, so.
Oh man, that's good to know. Yeah, I think at some point, if this goes well, unfortunately the link to the live was a little botched, but we'll get this link out to people if it's received well, and if, we'll probably do more of these. This was, as our committee, we decided if we get a good turnout. This turnout was better than I expected, by the way. I expected 4 or 5 people to be here, and I would have been happy with that. And so thank you for all coming. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Are you doing the same type of thing for November?
Well,
Are you guys in charge of?
Yeah, but I don't know if you'd be able to do.
yeah, we won't be able to do a presentation like this.
answer.
We'll basically have a booth at the November event.
Jordan could help with some of his stuff to show at your booth.
That would be
It's
great,
in our board.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Why don't we call him to the committee?
No, that's what we should have done. Is there any other questions that anybody has? These are good questions, by the way. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Here's what my sister did in her ward, by the way. Once everyone got their radios, they actually had an activity where they practiced using them. And she said they had the women upstairs and the men downstairs or in another room or something. She said downstairs, so it must have been in the house or something, but they would practice talking to each other. And she said that was incredibly helpful. She said the women, for whatever reason, were really the men picked it up quick, the women were intimidated, and it took them a little more, but the practice was really good. So if this works well, we'll schedule a time and we can do a practice. Return and report, she mentioned, is important. In a crisis, the church organization is an important principle. So if the bishop gives an assignment in a crisis, we need to return the report. So also, remember, when you are prepared, you shall not fear. But yeah, practice to avoid panic and develop muscle memory. She said in a crisis, well, they had this fire near Woodland Hills. Do you remember that a few years ago? She had done such a good job, everyone got out their binder, and they went, okay, they flipped to the right tab, and they followed like the step-by-step things, and they had practiced enough to where that whole thing went off like clockwork. And even the local search and rescue and the firefighters and the police and everybody, and the mayor of the town, they literally all relied on my sister and her Relief Society group, and they were amazed. They fed the firefighters, someone had a stroke or something because of the stress of it, but they communicated, and their whole system that they had practiced worked really well. So, but she said, you have to develop that muscle memory in advance in a crisis. It's hard to remember all the things that I shared today, for example. Redundancy is important. You've got your cell phone, that's great. Having another way, a backup way to communicate is important. Let's see here. President Nelson finally said, I call upon you to help gather scattered Israel and to prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord. So it's incumbent upon us to take those steps. Take action, take steps to prepare your family. And also, if you enjoyed this presentation, if it was worthwhile, like I said, I encourage you, if you saw the email that went out today, I was like, look, stay home, watch it from the comfort of your home. You can tune out halfway through if it's boring, right? But I think it was interesting. I liked the interaction that we had. I thought I was funny at times.
That's funny.
Right? So, if you enjoyed this, spread the word. I would tune into that. No, I love learning. I love your show. You would fit in with my family so well. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right there.
Right.
How many followers do you
I
have?
have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we still do the color-coded things
No.
in
In
Oras?
They decided that that was advertising to people that were looters.
And the last thing is, at his second coming, the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. That day will be filled with joy for the righteous. And I love that. And that's my testimony. We don't need to fear. As we follow the Spirit and as we're prompted and inspired, we'll take action and we'll be prepared for his coming. And it's going to be a glorious day filled with joy for the righteous. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Turn off.
Wait. Oh, should we? Do you not record prayers? I think we should. Go
They
ahead.
do.
Let's stand for the
We're
beginning.
talking now.
Okay, talk about, okay.
Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for the many blessings that thou hast given us. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here. We're grateful for this information that we received. We're grateful for Dan's preparation. And we pray, Father, that we might individually know and understand what thou wants us to do to prepare ourselves and our families. We pray that we can seek counsel and guidance from thee, and we're so grateful for those that are willing to share their knowledge and guidance for us. We are grateful for our Savior Jesus Christ, and we pray that we can individually prepare ourselves for his second coming, that we will be prepared in a way that we won't fear. We love thee, and we say these things humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you guys for coming.
These were.
Well, you've got them out in this one.
Okay, so none of our.
Well, no, you can literally go up to,
That's good job, Dan.
Thank you. What's that?
Good job.
Thank you. Was that okay?
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, you go up to, what's that, 20 miles?
All right,
You go up, Traverse, okay. You're gonna have like, oh my God.
And actually, New York is a real good, so that's like. Or no, he said the handwriting. East Coast is a problem because there's too much.
You know, when
Yeah, that's what he said. So, yeah, if you went to a higher place.
Yeah, so,
About what?
awesome. I agree.
What is that? I'm sure you guys like here. So this is video.
Oh, my sister created a binder for her work. Yeah. And it had tabs.
So there's a radio on Lake Mountain. So you can broadcast and get broadcast.
And then a longer detail.
A lot of lessons.
Yeah, right. Exactly. She gave me that too. Yeah.
But it's a very like rocky.
Oh, can someone stop that? What is it?
Nice passing. It's a nice passing.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna stop this. Let's see here.
So do you use this a lot, Dan?
Yeah, the Starlink.
So there's a radio station, we send people out, they pretend they're us from the
Well,
radio, driving around
well,
the
like,
desert.
when we, for example, we just got back yesterday from a trip to Twin Falls, Idaho. And we go up sometimes on extended trips, and as long as I can do my work, we can go for extended trips, you know what I mean? We're not missing work. But when I do my work, I need a high-speed internet connection. You could be out in the booth, and with that, I have high-speed internet.
High speed wherever you go? Yeah. You don't need to do like
I'm also gonna show my hotspot.
It is the hotspot. Yeah, you don't have to use a cell phone hotspot, but you could be totally out of range.
It's like in the same price category.
What about the satellite?
But it just uses.
I guess it'd be better for you for
So you don't have to
What's that?
talk to the
your
weird
satellite phone.
And then also this one can
How would you
monitor
like to use
aircraft
this?
frequencies. This
Um,
one I'm flying my drone. Like in the
well,
desert,
that is a good question.
and so you can hear them from there, like before you can see them.
I don't know. I mean, I got the phones first, and then I barely just got this. Yeah.
This would be great.
I think it might not work.
Yeah.
That's enough.
I mean, you have to plug it into power. So if you're hiking or something, like if I go motorcycle riding with my buddies, I'm not gonna be able to use this. Yeah. So. Yeah. Exactly. Let me see if I can figure out how to stop this. I actually don't. Was it okay? Really? Oh, good.
I was thinking about the whole thing. We started last Sunday.